Welcome back. We to preview Saturday afternoon's Premier League match between Tottenham Hotspur and Leicester City at White Hart Lane. Pascal, start with the home side and a poor result at Old Trafford last time out.
Yeah, it was a massive game for them, wasn't it, regarding their top four ambitions, and obviously the 3-0 defeat, terrible result for them. They started okay, they almost got a free goal in the early stages when that back pass almost went in, but after that they were all over the place, conceding 3 goals in the first half. It's terrible. The first one, pretty good goal from Fellaini. The second was kind of unlucky the way it went straight to Carrick, but it was a good finish from him. And then the third one, Benter had given it away to Rooney, and then the way he just walked through defence. You see Dyer didn't have his feet set quite right, he didn't want to bring him down, but even so, you can't just let him just walk through like that. It was terrible for them. And they didn't create much, did they, at all? Their only shot on target came in the 89th minute, that shot from Harry Kane, and almost went in. David De Gea sort of sat on the ball almost, and that could have easily gone in, but they didn't deserve anything from the game. And their worst performance for quite a while, because recently they had been looking pretty good. Obviously in the League Cup final they were decent in that, fell behind. They were brilliant in the first half against Chelsea there, but then they fell behind and it sort of fell away for them. But apart from that, they have been looking good of late, but that was a massive blow for them in their ambitions for the top four, and it's hard to see them breaking into the top four now.
You mentioned they have been good. I think they've been playing some good stuff, haven't they? But they've only actually won 2 of the last 5 in the league, so it's been, they had that game at QPR, didn't they, when their game in hand, no one was playing, went there and won and sort of put themselves back in the race. But they're 7th in the minute, sitting 6 points off the top 4, which is obviously, it's difficult, but they've got some decent fixtures coming up. But sitting at 6 points in 7th in the minute, I think if they finish 7th, that's a massive disappointment. There's the top 7 are going to be the top 7. We don't know what order they're going to be in, but I think they're looking to push into the top 4. And you feel like this might be one of their best chances. They've had a good season and they've got players in form. Harry Kane, didn't have a good game at Old Trafford, but at home this season they've been decent. But I think the crowd seem to get up, don't they? And if it doesn't go right in this game, and it takes to the 60th minute to break the deadlock or whatever, it's going to be difficult. But I think they have to win this game if they're going to sort of finish in the top 4.
And obviously 7th at the moment, they're level on points with Southampton, but their goal difference is the bad thing, really. They're +4 goal difference. Everyone else above them in the table has got a lot more than them, and they're level on points with Southampton. You probably would fancy them to finish above Southampton. You maybe get them finishing 6th this season, but the way that Liverpool are going, United looking pretty good, Arsenal obviously they're winning loads of games at the moment, so it's hard to see Spurs getting above any of those sides. But I expect them to finish above Southampton, but their goal difference is poor. Only +4 for a team like Spurs is disappointing for them. So like you said, they do have decent fixtures coming up. Obviously here, home to Leicester at the bottom of the table, then they go to Burnley, host Villa, go to Newcastle, who are out of form. So the next 4, I think Pochettino will say, I want 12 points from these 4 games, nothing less, because they should beat all of these teams, really. There's no reason why they shouldn't. So these next 4 games, if they can get 12 points out of it, then obviously depending on how everyone else gets on, they might be back in the race.
Moving on to Leicester, the international was back with a 0-0 draw of Hull last time. That was quite a poor game, wasn't it? I think it was last time match of the day, and you understand the reasons for that. There wasn't too much in it. Tom Huddleston sent off in the second half, but there was too much in it. I think Jamie Vardy had some bright moments later on. His pace, as it seems to do, sort of affect the game, and Kramaric, had bits and bobs, in the final third. But it was one of those games where neither team really wanted to lose it. I think that's a problem for Leicester at the moment, because they haven't won in the last 7 in the league, and they've won since beating Aston Villa on January the 10th. So points are not going to be enough for them this stage of the season. They could draw every game from now and in the season and still go down, because I think they have to start going for it a bit more. I'm not saying they don't do that, but the fact they play 5 at the back, the 3 centre backs, it's strange. You can understand it for some games, but for some games that say Hull at home, you'd expect them to also try to match up to them, but to win that game, and they're sitting in difficult position now, but they've got a game in hand.
They've got a game in hand. You're right, the gap is 7 points, isn't it? And it's hard to see them. You don't often see this, do you? The 3 promoted teams occupying the 3 relegation places at the moment. And I can't remember the last time it happened that all 3 promoted sides went down. But at the moment, it looks like it could happen. But when you see a side like Burnley beating City last week, Burnley they've got that. You can see that they've maybe got that in them. But I'm just not sure Leicester have. At the start of the season, there's that result against United 5-3 at home. That was the standout result. But since then, you haven't seen anything anywhere near that from Leicester and Nigel Pearson's men. And it's hard to imagine them getting out of it. They've sort of been cut adrift now. We talked about Spurs' goal difference. The goal difference at the bottom is quite interesting as well, because from Villa in 16th down to Leicester, only 3 goals separate them. So this is a sort of game where Leicester, they won't want to get beaten heavily, because then that goal difference hurts them even more. But when they last played Spurs at White Hart Lane in the FA Cup in January, they beat them 2-1. That really late comeback, it looked like Spurs were going to be cruising through to the next round, and they scored 2 goals late on. So they can take some heart from that, but I think it's a really difficult task. Even though Spurs were so poor last week, this is such a difficult game for Leicester.
You mentioned they won at Spurs in the Cup, but they're away from the league's been poor. I think they've lost 11 times of their 15 games. So obviously that's not good enough, winning twice. And you mentioned that game against United. They played decent against the good teams this season, haven't they? I mean, I remember, I think it was last month against Arsenal, they went to the Emirates and played some really good stuff, and they probably should have got, well, they should have got something from that game, obviously didn't, but they had to put a similar performance to that if they want to get anything from the game, but it's going to be difficult. What's your score prediction as well?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Spurs, even though they were so poor last time, obviously not in Europe anymore, haven't got that sort of commitment to do midweek. You know, they don't often have many home games on a Saturday. I think, you know, they're quite refreshing for the fans maybe to go down there on a Saturday, and I think they will want a really good performance because they were so bad last week, and I think they might just edge this 2-0.
2-0. I'm actually going to go for two goal sort of margin as well, but I'm actually going to, I think Leicester will score. You know, they've got some decent players going forward. I think Pearson probably he probably have to change his formation, maybe go a bit more attacking. So if that happens, I think Spurs will win it 3-1 though. So I think both see fairly comfortable wins for Spurs. Thanks for joining us.